What was your worst SHT, I forgot moment? So busy building the new house that I forgot to pack the old one. Didn't remember until I was opening the front door of the old house after picking up the moving van. The next thing I remember was yelling for my husband to go get more boxes as I stood in the kitchen appending drawers into boxes. I'm the one with spatial awareness but didn't get to pack the moving van because I was in the house desperately shoveling shelves into bags and my husband had to do it. The move took 2 trips instead of 1, and lasted until 3 AM. I was still finding lost items a year later. Didn't happen to me, but when I was on vacation with my siblings, my sister forgot to pack her school laptop along with homework at the rental house we were staying at. Her dad stopped the car at a gas station after 4 hours of driving and must have gotten a call about it because he walked back to the car yelling at her knowing people was around including her cousins that aren't nice to her. Very traumatizing. The rest of the car ride home was unsettling. She later told me that her cousins made fun of her for that incident and basically told all of their family about it. Not me but a coworker. Company did an annual dinner cruise in the summer to thank everyone for their hard work during the year. Free food. Open bar. Nice ride around the harbor for a few hours. Boat leaves at 6 on the dot. This one coworker barely made it as he had gone home to tidy himself up. Turns out he forgot to pick up his girlfriend on the way there. She called him as we were pulling out of the dock. The look on his face was the first time I'd seen someone go pale on the spot. He spent the whole cruise vacillating between despair and worry. Poor guy. I forgot to lock the door to the liquor store I work at. Some idiot drove up at 5:30 AM and pushed his way into heavy automatic doors that were switched off, setting off the alarm, and proceeded to wander around for a minute, looking around like he was trying to find an employee, like there was any chance there would be one at that time while the alarm's beeping. Then just wandered out again. Head office acted like they were going to make a big thing out of it, but then just kind of forgot about it, and my manager was like, "Hey, whatever. I got this after 8 years together. I got married to my wife. Just a formality, signing paper at the city hall with 2 witnesses. We wanted to spend the money on a large honeymoon. I did buy a ring. So, wake up, get ready." But our son was really active and fussy about his little tuxedo. He looked so damn adorable. So hurry, late, and we arrive at the city hall. The administrator came and explained it will be a formality and that it will be a quick, but if we have them we can exchange rings, and then I realized I forgot the ring. I forgot to lock the door to the liquor store I work at. Some idiot drove up at 5:30 AM and pushed his way into heavy automatic doors that were switched off, setting off the alarm, and proceeded to wander around for a minute, looking around like he was trying to find an employee, like there was any chance there would be one at that time while the alarm's beeping. Then just wandered out again. Head office acted like they were going to make a big thing out of it, but then just kind of forgot about it, and my manager was like, "Hey, whatever." I was a full-time photographer for years, mostly newborns. One of the families hired me to also shoot the baby's baptism. I somehow got the date mixed up, and I was unaware until I got a very stern email from the mother saying, "I don't know where you were yesterday," but I was so mortified and upset with myself. Their entire family had shown up for the event. Luckily they ended up forgiving me after initially being very upset, and we staged another without their family so they'd at least have pictures. But it sucked. I went on site in London for 6 weeks. I made a detailed list of what to take and packed everything in order. Reached London on Friday and explored the city. On Monday I was frantically searching for my formal pants as the office had a strict dress code from Monday to Thursday. So I happened to actually pack a raincoat pant thinking it was my formal black pant. Spent 6 weeks wearing just 2 jeans. Both got torn at the leg joint. I didn't have enough money to buy a new pant. Most was spent on travel and food. I was at a family get-together and asked my cousin what his older brother's been up to, as small talk. I forgot his brother died 2 years ago. I was even at the funeral. They were like 3rd or 4th cousins, and I only see them like once a year and barely talk outside of the usual greetings. As soon as the words left my mouth and I saw his face change, I remembered and backpedaled and apologized, and it was so awkward. Pretty sure he was ready to punch me, but he just walked away. We were both in our early 20s. The only one I can remember is the car locking itself while my little brother was inside. I dropped the key inside the car. I closed the door while lecturing my brother about spitting on people for no reason, and I realized no other door was open. There was no way in. I tried gesturing to try to tell him to open the door when my mom saw what was going on and took another spare car key from inside our house. It was broken, but she still kept it and opened the car with the key. I was so relieved. I was taking care of my sister's cat 6 while she was out of the country. I was supposed to feed them breakfast, supper, and clean their boxes every day. I usually did it before and after work. One of our cats needed a twice per day medication. One night, I had to work really late. I was exhausted and went home and fell asleep on the sofa. I woke up around 2 a.m. I realized I had forgotten to check on the cats. I drove across town and did my kitty aunt duties in the middle of the night, talking about birthdays one evening at the dinner table with family, go around the room trying to remember what star signs we all have. Get to my stepdad. He's a June baby, but can't remember what star sign he is. Cancer. Deathly silence. The man is currently undergoing treatment for cancer in 3 locations: chemo, radiotherapy and round 1 surgery done so far. Large hill to climb, but getting there. Thankfully he let out a chuckle so we could all laugh, secondhand, but it was crazy. I spent about 6 months working with a team on a government proposal for funding to build a nursing home. I can't tell you how much effort was spent on it. We submit and get rejected almost immediately. One of the criteria was that you had to have this specific engineering firm basically thumbs up all the work you got your own architects engineers to do. It was very specific. And the guy in charge of that just forgot to do it. I left my Glock in the dresser drawer in my hotel room after checking out. I had attended an ATLA convention, Association of the Trial Lawyers of America, in Chicago. I always carried in major cities when I traveled alone. I was almost outside the city when I realized that I was an idiot. I raced back and told the front desk clerk what happened. She contacted the hotel security and they retrieved it and took me to a storage room and ran it to me. Thank goodness. I was supposed to be the DJ on New Year's Eve, at my friend's house party. It was a pretty big thing for me because it was meant to be my first public display of my very low-level DJing skills. I left the one cable at home that couldn't have been replaced, and all the shops were closed. It took me 2 hours to travel there. Safe to say I wasn't the traditional DJ that night, but my Spotify playlist was. I always keep a spare cable in my bag since then. Drove 3 hours to a work site to check into a hotel in pajamas and at midnight realized I had no shirt to wear the next day, just my one undershirt. I'd left it hanging on the hook by the exit door. So drove 3 hours back, and then another 3 hours back to the hotel, got there, and then went in the morning to the work site for a full day of testing inspection. Also got a speeding ticket while I was racing back home to get a shirt. Worst experience ever. I got stoned and put a pizza in my oven. I proceeded to go to my backyard and play guitar. I forgot my pizza and when I came in the house it was so thick from smoke I was sure a fire had started. I panicked and searched for the source only to remember that I was cooking a pizza. I opened the oven and found a hockey puck of a pizza. I got to it before I burned my house down. Worst part was it was a duplex and I put my upstairs neighbor's life at risk. In school there was a game we used to play called Your Dad. Basically the aim of the game was to get anyone else to say "Ooh," and then you reply with by saying "Your dad?" Basically there was this one day where I was on a roll, and I got everyone in our friend group, apart from one guy. Now, this guy's dad had passed away from cancer fairly recently. You can probably get where this is going. I said "Your dad," and he broke down crying. Fun times. I forgot to buy enough vodka to make it through Sunday in a state that doesn't sell alcohol on Sundays. I ran out late Saturday night. Monday morning 8:50 a.m., I'm sitting in the liquor store parking lot waiting for it to open at 9:00. Shaking, gagging, dry heaving, sweating and shivering, crying in a mental wreck. 9:00 gets here, I get my bottles and one of them is half empty before I even get out of the parking lot. 6 years sober. I was supposed to have the girl over super early in the morning 4 a.m. She couldn't sneak out late at night, only that early in the morning. We were trying to avoid the whole parents thing. So I had to stay up until then because I wouldn't be able to wake up in time. Needless to say I fell asleep and forgot she was coming over and she waited down the street for 2 hours calling me. I was such a dickhead for that I completely forgot. I regret that. When I was kid my grandma called and I picked up the phone. She asked to speak with my mom. And I said okay, I'll get her. Then I got distracted and forgot. It must have been like an hour or two later when my mom noticed the phone was off the hook. She picked it up and said hello? My poor grandma was still patiently waiting on the other end. Maybe not the biggest oops, but it still sticks in my mind for some reason so many years later. Oh boy XD, this is a good story from my time at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. So back in 2015 I just started my new job at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, so I had a 45-minute drive to my store. So I was on my 5th week on the job and thought I was working later one day, and well, it hit my I was supposed to be at work 20 minutes ago. I was late. I was rushing to work to the point I almost got a speeding ticket. All the fun of a long driving to work. I sat on a plane with my dad and I was eating some TV dinners. It gets a little foggy here. Apparently I was hit in the back of the head with a metal bottle. I have no idea how that got through the security. It was the 80s. It fell from the little cubby. I woke up and then asked the nurse where I was. She told me to go back to bed. Apparently I woke up 6 times, asked the same question every time. The bottle put me into 3-week coma. My brother and I were driving to our dad's funeral. He wakes up from a dead sleep and shouts, "Fuck!" He looks at me and says, "I forgot Dad's ashes at home. 4 states away." After he calmed down, I had them overnighted and everything turned out alright. He was pretty upset for a couple hours though. And now we have the joke for the rest of our lives that Dad was even late for his own funeral. I consider it a good memory. Left a note for Mom that I go swimming to the river when I was 17. But a friend dropped by to ask if we go to a music festival like right now to catch the train. Went to the festival, forgot the note. Early morning another friend dropped by to ask something from me. Mom thought it's the police about to tell her they found my body in the river. She was panicking and teared off the curtain as she tried to open the window. It happened today actually. I had plans to go out with friends, one of them being my crush, hence why I really wanted to go at 10. I woke up at 8 thinking I don't have plans for the day, so I just fall back to sleep. Woke up at 10 only to remember about the hangout. Took me 30 minutes to get ready and get there. Thankfully my friends are the kind of people who will wait for hours on end if at least one of the members are late. I was catching a flight from Germany military base back to the US to visit family. The bus ride to the airport was 5 hours. As the bus was just pulling out, I realized that I had left my passport at home. Fortunately, I was the only passenger. The driver drove back onto the base. I car and retrieved my passport. The whole debacle only took about 20-30 minutes. The driver was able to make up the time on the Autobahn. I promised a friend that I would take care of her cats during her 5-day absence. She gave me her keys. This is something I had done before. Somehow I completely forgot. The cats were hungry when she returned and the litter boxes were extra poopy. Thankfully the cats survived. She had left bowls of kibble and water for them that probably lasted 4 days. I was apologetic, she was forgiving, and we're still friends. It's yet to happen. Every once in a while I start to think if there's something I forgot to do that I was supposed to do years or more ago, but I quickly shut that thought down once I realized the consequences of discovering such an oversight. One of these days I won't stop myself in time though, and I'll probably realize someone somewhere is still waiting on me to deliver their life-saving medication or something. After school year ended, my classmates asked me if I would go with them to have some fun and drink some alcohol. They know I don't drink, but still. I decided to go, and had some great time. When I was coming back home my phone died, and a few minutes later I realized, oh fuck, I forgot to tell my parents I was coming back later. My dad was close to beating my ass even though I'm almost 18, but won't regret it at all. I was washing a vase in the kitchen sink. I had it upside down, scrubbing an old price tag off the bottom. I heard something in garage which turned out to be a friend who I spoke to for half an hour. The vase had sealed to the sink bottom and I had an inch of water on my hardwood floors. Went to basement and it looked like a waterfall was coming down the back of my bar and it was raining from my light outlets.